Hello everyone, welcome to Exotic Gardening Live. My name is Yorkshire Kris, and tonight we're going to talk about where to buy plants in 2022 in the UK. So we're going to look at a few of the plant nurseries, a few of the places we can buy seeds as well, and then we're going to talk about what plants I'll be growing this year as well, and what plants you might be growing. So we'll start with the thing that a lot of people are growing now, or starting to grow, and that is exotic plants from seed. So, where do I get a lot of seeds from? Well, I get a lot of seeds that I've collected myself from previous years of annuals in the garden and some perennials. And I also get a lot of new seeds from Chiltern Seeds. Chiltern Seeds, based in the UK, they have a wide range of seeds, all from common garden plants to more unusual plants, exotic plants, and they get them from all around the world, and you get fresh seed in pretty much every year. And I've grown absolutely loads of stuff from Chiltern Seeds over the years. So one of the main things I get from them every year is ricinus seeds, if I've not collected my own, and also canna seeds. Have been great for canna seeds over the years as well. So that's a great place to grow plants from, grow from seed. And there's other places obviously as well, so we could talk about let's have a think. So Mike's Rare Plants, you might have seen him on Facebook, Mike Clifford. He has amazing collection of plants that he grows in his garden down south, and he collects seed from these, and in small quantities. It's not a major nursery or anything like that, but he has some really sought after species and some real rarities that you can grow from seed that you can't get pretty much from anywhere else. So he's obviously collected seeds from around the world over the years, and grows successfully every year in his garden, and manages to collect seeds and distribute them to enthusiasts. And you can get some real sort of rarities, like I said. So this year I've got lots from Mike's. I've got loads of aeonium seeds. So if I just go back here, where I am now in the greenhouse, I've been sowing loads of aeonium seeds. I've got them in the propagator and the heat mats. So behind me I've got some trays of aeonium seedlings. Well, it's not seedlings yet, the seeds. So we'll look at these in a future video of what sort of seed mix I've got and everything else I'm sowing this year. But here we've got one of the trays, so it's very free draining compost and perlite mix with some grit and sand and a bit of vermiculite over the top. And this is aeonium glandulosum, so quite a lot of rare aeoniums you can get from Mike's seeds, Mike's Rare Plants. I've got loads behind me in this heated area and also in the propagator. And jungle seeds as well, so I get loads and loads in the past from jungle seeds. So they do all sorts of things. Unusual vegetable seeds are really good from there. They do banana seeds as well, lots from there, and brugmansia seeds and things like that. So they're a great place to get seeds from, and loads of other places as well. I've just picked out a few here. I'm not sort of recommending these over other places as such, other than I have bought from these places and they've done well in the past. But we'll look at some other nurseries as well which are doing seeds and doing plants. But this time of year, now we're into it's the end, right at the end of February into March. This is the main sort of start of the season for growing seeds, really. Yes, you can grow things through winter in December, January and February, but as we get into March, into April and then into May, that's our peak 3 months for sowing seeds. So I'm starting things that take quite a long time at the moment, and then as we move through into March, April, there'll be other seeds I'll be sowing, and then as we get to May, there's still plenty of time to sow really fast growing annual plants like the ricinus as well. So we'll move on to looking at plants now, because I think one of the main things people want to buy, especially when you're starting out, or you want to buy like a big specimen plant for the garden, you want a big thing like a tree fern or a palm tree, and it's like I've said in previous weeks, it's getting harder and harder to source these things because the prices are going up. The suppliers, there's less of them, and it's been harder to import plants over the last few years. So there are places that obviously still supply these plants. We're going to go through a few of the nurseries that I've used and some nurseries that other people have recommended as well. So there are the seeds. So a place I've used many times is Hardy Palms, based down near Bristol. This is run by a chap that you might have heard of called Nigel Kimbry, who's on the forums over the years and the Facebook pages, and he's grown palm trees for years and years and years, and loads of bootiers, loads of trachycarpus, loads of rarer palm trees and yuccas and things like that. You can get really good deals, especially if you're buying loads of plants, and they're all sort of grown really well. Over the past few years it's been more difficult to get the palm trees, as we've mentioned, but he's managed to get new stock in recently, so definitely check out Hardy Palms. That's where I got a couple of my bootiers from. It's where I got my Canary Island date palm from, and a few of my yuccas as well. Some of my biggest specimen yuccas we got from Hardy Palms. So yeah, great guy. Always managed to get a good deal if you're buying many plants as well. So it's well worth talking to him. You can visit the nursery by appointment as well, and orders have always come really quick on pallets. So that's been great, and in the post as well. The Palm Centre, another nursery that I've used in the past. They've been going many years now, and I bought some of my earliest Chemops from the Palm Centre, based down in London, and you can visit in the nurseries. They do all sorts of other plants as well. If you're looking for palm trees, that's another place to look as well, especially if you're in the area, you can pick up in person. Now, a nursery I've not used, but I've seen lots and lots of people buy from all sorts of plants, is Palm Tree Company. So I've not used a Palm Tree Company, and their price includes delivery, and they have a huge range of plants. So talking about palm trees, tree ferns as well, yuccas, and all sorts of different things. So they seem to have a huge range of plants. So they're another plant nursery to check out if you're looking for big specimen plants, as well as some smaller plants as well. And then here is a place where many of us will have bought our tree ferns from over the years. Seagrave Nurseries, based I think down in the Midlands. They normally get loads of tree ferns every spring or late winter, and they sell them in all sizes. So a few of my tree ferns I got many years ago from Seagraves, and they were just like £18. £18 a foot when I bought them. They've gone up in price since then, like all things have, but the place where many people have bought tree ferns from in the past. So that's one to try out. But as you can see, I did this screenshot from about an hour ago now, and you can see that they're currently sold out. So they're very sought after plants, the tree ferns. So I did have a look around, see what else is on offer at the moment, and you can buy tree ferns. If you want to spend the money, you can buy a 2-foot tree fern for £260, and this one I saw earlier on Crocus, well-known supplier of plants. Sometimes you can get discount codes. I think you get 10 or 20% off with some magazines, and you know, if you think it was last time I checked on the Gardener's World magazine, you got like a discount code. If you subscribe, you got like 10-20% off. You might get a bit of discount off this as well, and sometimes when you do a first order on websites, you often get a discount as well. But £260, you know, it's a lot of money, but they're in stock I think soon, Crocus. But for the same amount of money, £260, you can get a 5-footer rather than a 2-footer from Primrose, who sell all sorts of garden ornaments and furniture, as well as some plants. And I saw recently on on one of the Facebook pages that somebody bought a tree fern from Primrose, and it was absolutely huge chunky thing, and bigger than expected. And I looked earlier, some of these are in stock at the smaller sizes, but they go up to 7 foot on the Primrose website, and some of these are out of stock, but I'm sure they might get more stock in, so it's worth contacting them or just remember them to try later. So that's a few places for tree ferns. And Urban Jungle as well. So Urban Jungle, based down in Norfolk, they have a really good nursery that you can actually garden centre you can actually visit and see all the exotic plants before you buy, and you can also do online as well for many of the smaller plants. And some of the plants include the tree fern, Dicksonia antarctica. So they look like they're getting their next shipment of Dicksonia antarctica in early March. That's one to look out for. I've bought lots of, I think, gingers in the past, and some of my other plants in the garden I've visited there as well, and I've got a really nice, interesting setup and a cafe and everything. So if you're ever in the area, that's one to to have a look at and have a look round. And if you're especially looking for tree ferns, it might be a good place to buy one. I've seen some of their tree ferns in the flash last year, and they did look really good quality. And another place to buy exotic plants from is from a smaller place called Grow Paradise. That's Craig's. If you go to his YouTube channel, he does videos like myself on growing exotic plants, and he's got his own plant online nursery, and lots of rarer plants, small plants on the whole that you can ship quite easily. So we've got some Rungmantias, Aeoniums and things like that, and they, it's well worth looking at sort of homegrown, so small UK nurseries and plant sellers, because you can really chance upon some really good finds, some rare plants, some really nice exotic plants. It's definitely well worth having a look at places like Grow Paradise as well. In this video I'm just trying to sort of go through a few of these, and also talk about places that I've bought plants from, but also just showing some other places you might want to check out that I've seen are popular that other people have been buying from as well. And then obviously there's Turn It Tropical, which I did a video on, a couple of videos on, where I went actually visited Carl Cooper and looked around the nursery, and they sell absolutely loads of stuff. They've got a huge polytunnel full of amazing exotic plants, so alocasias, colocasias, loads of different house plants, but then some sort of shrubs and some rarer and unusual plants as well. So loads and loads of amazing plants, and they sell all year round, but obviously when you get into spring and summer, that's when you got the most stock. Same with all the other nurseries really. Peak selling time is sort of spring and summer. But Turn It Tropical, I can recommend them. I've bought from them, really good service and huge range of plants, and it's worth sort of checking out sort of their Facebook pages and Twitter and social media as well, just to see the latest deals and latest plants coming in, because quite often we're wanting plants that we've seen on Instagram, or we've seen other people post on Facebook, or you might have seen on garden programs as well, and you sort of Google it and search for it, and it's quite hard sometimes to find suppliers of these rare and wonderful plants. But if you go on places like Turn It Tropical and the others, and actually follow them on social media, that can be a great way of seeing when new stock comes in and actually getting those plants as soon as they come in, because as we've noticed over the last few years, getting more and more sought after unusual and exotic plants. So there's a great demand for these plants, and there are pretty much less places to buy these plants from, so they're really sought after. So if you follow the pages, then you can see when the latest stock comes in, and you can grab yourself one of the plants you've been looking for a long time. So let's go back through these pages. Got a couple more of the screenshots I've taken this afternoon, just to go through some of the places we can buy plants. We might be near the end of these actually. Oh yes, so a lot of people ask about schefflers and really rare things like begonias and shrubs and hardy plants that are unusual and where to get these from. Well, another place to try is Krug Farm. Krug Farm plants, so they introduce lots and lots of really interesting plants, including, I believe, Tetrapanax rex was introduced from Krug Farm, and many of the umbrella plants as schefflers as well. So they do grow in Wales, so it's not the hottest place in the world. They've grown so many amazing plants, been on expeditions, brought back seeds and grown them on and picked out the ones that have done well in their location, and like I said, introduced loads of weird and wonderful plants, some of which now have become really popular, like the umbrella plants, the schefflers, like the Scheffler macrophylla that I've grown in my garden, and others as well. Yes, it's not the cheapest place in the world, especially when you're doing online mail order, but they do have plants that you can't get anywhere else. That's another one to try. Desert to Jungle as well. So this is another nursery I've not bought from direct, but I know a lot of people have, and they have a huge range of plants. So talking about all the sort of palm trees and things like that, and tree ferns you can try, bamboos, and lots of gingers and other sort of exotic plants as well. So it's well worth looking through their website and looking for plants you may be interested in. So I know a lot of these places you might know about, some of them you might not know about, so I thought I'd share quite a few places that I've bought from and places that have come highly recommended. But it's not just the main online nurseries which you can buy from as well. There are obviously eBay, so eBay you can get all sorts, you can get plants and seeds especially that are hard to find in other places, but obviously there's some downsides from buying from eBay in some circumstances, especially if you're not buying from a somewhere who you know them personally or you've been recommended, because you can buy some things that aren't necessarily what the photos show or might not come true from seed. So you've got to look for good reputable suppliers. One I've just picked out here, Toucan Tropicals. You might have seen a lot on Facebook showing what their new stock. So Toucan Tropicals, they've got a really good recommended rating on eBay, and I've seen they've posted so many good things and shown their setup, being very open and transparent about that on Facebook page as well. I've not bought from them directly, but they do seem to have a lot of good interesting things. So eBay is another obviously place you can look, and you can also buy dig up jobs. So if you want to get a bargain and you want a big established palm tree but you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can very often, especially when people sort of moving house or having extensions and they want to re-landscape the garden, want to get rid of an old palm tree, you can pick up a bargain. You dig it up yourself. You often see listings on eBay and also Facebook Marketplace. So I just did a screenshot an hour or so ago on Facebook Marketplace. So this isn't a recommendation exactly of this particular one, it's just an example where somebody's selling a windmill palm. It says 250 quid for this one, and it looks like it's a huge specimen. So if you want to dig it up, then you might think this is a really good deal. I've seen plants like this for free, often on Marketplace, or for like £50, because you have to dig it up and there's people wanting to get rid of it. They're not trying to make a profit out of it, although some people obviously want to make a profit out of it. So it might be a good way of getting big palms at a low price. That's another one. Another area where you might want to think about buying some of your exotic plants is basically of second hand in a way. So that is just some of the places you might think about buying. It's not all, it's not an exhaustive list, it's just a few of recommendations and also popular places that I know people have bought from in the last year or so. I know plants are getting harder and harder to source if you want specific ones, but the ones I've shown in that sort of quick slideshow does show most of the main suppliers where you can get a big range of different plants either from seed specimens or smaller specimens. So like I said, there are other places as well, so I'm just going to have a look at the chat, see what's been mentioned this evening, and see if anybody's got any other suggestions of where you can buy exotic plants this year, any good bargains you've seen. One thing I've not mentioned is DIY sheds, so places like Homebase, if you've still got one, The Range, B&Q. You don't get a wide range of exotic plants, but sometimes you can get some absolute bargains, especially later on in the year, or when they do their like 20% off days and 50% off days on outdoor plants and things like that. You can get some really good bargains and good quality specimens, especially things like some of the palm trees, although there's been less in the last few years. But they do tree ferns very often, normally later on in the year. Get your bananas from there. I've seen gingers from there as well. You can quite often get exotic plants from the DIY sheds, and also your local garden centres will stock a range of exotic plants. But like I said, if you really want to go for a set plant that you've seen on social media or you've seen on TV, then try some of the nurseries I've mentioned, and you'll probably find that you can pick up the thing you're after, basically. If something's really popular, then they do sell out. So we looked at the tree ferns a few minutes ago. Tree ferns every spring they sell out really quick because there's not many suppliers. They buy a container's full or half a container's full, and then it sells out really quick. So I'll just quickly look through the chat and we'll see what other people have been suggesting. Obviously local garden centres might have their specialisms and might have certain plants they grow really well, and you might have to go to that specific nursery or that garden centre in that area if you want to pick up that plant. So what I'm thinking about here is Cornwall sell loads of exotic plants because their climate is more suitable for more exotic plants, so you can pick up the real Gunnera manicarta quite easily down in many Cornish nurseries. Quite a lot of Shefflers you can pick up from the plant fairs that are down there, as well as from the garden centres as well. But some of the plants have become more available that were very rare a few years ago. So for instance, the Fatsia polycarpa, which looks like a regular Fatsia, but it's got more sought after, like longer fingers on the leaves and greener colour. That is used to be really rare, and you had to go to like Krug to buy that. But now you can buy it from loads of places. I've seen it in regular garden centres over the last few years. But sometimes it does work the other way, where a really rare plant becomes so much in demand that it can be sort of cloned and can be grown really quickly by some of the nurseries, and you can find it in all the garden centres the year after next. It does work the other way. If something's really popular and easy to propagate, then it will get picked up and marketed, and you'll be able to buy it in lots of different places. Have a look. Yeah, Paige Turner's talking about, look at them, they're in Tenerife today, which is obviously much warmer than where I am at the moment. So I'm back in the greenhouse, which I'm keeping at 10 degrees. It's not the warmest place to be sat on an evening, but Tenerife does sound good. Looking at all the exotic plants there, there's lots of exotic plants in Tenerife that you can grow in the UK, but there's quite a lot that do struggle as well. Enjoy your holiday in Tenerife. So we got Danielana lives near the Palm Tree Company. They're not open to the public, is mentioned there. It's online only, so we mentioned that one earlier. They have a huge range of exotic plants. And he's had successful purchases from eBay for all sorts of things, palms, bananas, lobelias, etc. So you can, there's loads of good, suppliers on eBay, but obviously there are some bad ones as well. So it's harder to know about going to a place or experiencing that supplier, what it's like. So it can be a bit more of a minefield. But if you get good recommendations from other people, then it's well worth using eBay, you know, for the buy it now prices, or you can bid as well for some plants and get a bargain that way if not other people are interested or picked it up. You can pay over the odds as well. Big Plant Nursery being mentioned by Michael. Yeah, I've bought from Big Plant Nursery as well in the past. I think I got my Agave Montanas, I think, from there. So that's another place to buy big plants. They do bamboos, I think they do olive trees and things like that as well. Urban and Rural's another stockist down south that do lots of exotic plants. It's another one to look for. Yeah, from the range you can buy plants as well, like I mentioned. Michael's mentioned Chimrops humilis, which you can buy from the range. I've picked up all sorts of like summer bedding, especially from the garden centres and from the DIY sheds, because you can get it really cheap. Nice colourful things just as fillers like petunias and things like that. Really sort of, you know, add a bit of colour to the garden for not much money. If you forgot to, or you don't want to grow it from seed, you can get it as bedding plants later on in the summer, ready to plant out. So Andrew Woods mentions Farmer Gracie. They do loads of bulbs and sort of corms of lots of plants. They do all year round. So they do spring bulbs, but then they do summer bulbs, exotic bulbs like caladiums and aroids as well. I've bought from them last year with mixed success. Some things did really well. Caladiums did pretty well. My couple of colocasias didn't do too well, so they replaced them, which was great because they came a bit mouldy, but that's not to say every delivery is going to be like that. But they do a huge range of, like I said, bulbs and corms and things, so that's a good one to try as well. Ainsdale Cyclist mentions Burncoos. So yeah, Burncoos are again down south, down the southwest. They do a huge range of plants. I've bought from them, and they sell at the moment Amicia zygomeris and Scheffler taiwaniana and other sort of proteas, Australian shrubs as well. So quite a lot of things I don't grow because I don't have acidic soil, but you can pick up some great plants from Burncoos as well, and they do mail order. Another recommendation for the Palm Tree Company by Richard A. Gart, which is good. Home Gardening recommend, or they mention that Amazon do sell exotic plants. Obviously, you know, Amazon sell everything. A lot of the stuff you can get from Amazon is not direct from Amazon, but it's from, you know, other companies using Amazon as a platform to sell their plants. So there's lots of smaller nurseries and bigger nurseries that will, you know, sell their plants from through Amazon as well. So that's another option. Quite a lot of comments coming here. Home bargains for Trachycarpus. Yeah, home bargains. I think it was last year or a year before. It was a great place to get Musa Baju. Not mentioned Musa Baju in this episode tonight, but yeah, it's a plant that loads of people want every year. You often get it as really small plug plants. You can get bigger plants as well. Home bargains last year, I think they did really good deals. I can't remember the prices. It was like 6, 7, 8 quid for quite good sized plants. So home bargains, you might not think of it as the main place to buy exotic plants, but they do from time to time sell some really sought after typical exotic plants like Musa Baju. And also places like Lidl as well, believe it or not, they sell citrus plants every year. They sell brugmansias every year for like £1.99, something like that. You get them as small plants and they're really cheap, but they do really well. So that's another place to buy plants from as well. And obviously in spring, well, right now, getting into spring, we're thinking about what to buy for this season. But if you want to save some money and you want to think about the years after next, obviously growing from seed is one option, or from seedlings. also wait until the end of the season and then buying stuff before it gets really cold. So talking back end of 2022, you could pick stuff up in sort of October, November and December before the Christmas stock comes in garden centres and the DIY sheds. You can pick up, like, you might get the odd tree fern still hanging about somewhere, or a palm tree, or your musabaju, or your tender plants, and you can often pick up stuff for silly prices. I've seen stuff marked up for like £1 and 50 pence, and it's, you know, it was like £25 at full price. So back end of the year you can get absolute bargains. Yeah, that's another couple of places. Himalayan Gardens and Jacques Amand do bulbs and combs and things as well. So I've not bought from either of those places, but I've seen them around for many years, and they do a big range of plants as well. Somebody's mentioned Etsy. I've not looked for plants on Etsy before. Obviously they do all sorts of creative craft things on there, but plants as well apparently. So yeah, that's one to look out for. I've not seen them sell plants before. One I mentioned earlier, but I'll mention it again, Urban and Rural. I've bought from them before. That's Lee Mackey. This is mentioned by Matt Davison. All sorts of tropical and exotic plants. I know they do lots of landscaping stuff down there as well, and you can buy loads of exotic plants from there. So that's another one to try. Again, down the southwest. You may notice most of the nurseries of exotic plants are in the southwest. So starting from Bristol, going into Devon and Cornwall especially, then a few like Turnip Tropical and Urban Jungle over in Norfolk as well, and London for the Palm Centre and the London markets. You can get loads of exotic plants from as well as some of the wholesale places as well. Yeah, another couple of people say Etsy, so that's good to know. I'll check that out. It's not somewhere I've looked to buy exotic plants from, but like I said, I'm growing a lot more from seed this year. So I think I've sown about 20 packets of seeds already, mainly the aeoniums and seleniums, and then I'll be growing some cleome. What else we got? We've got some cannas again from seed, I think. We've got some bananas coming from seed. Got some palm seeds that I've got here as well, just behind me, which have not germinated yet. I'm using the baggy method with sphagnum moss in there, so hopefully they'll germinate soon. I'm in no rush for plants like that. I've got the backbone of what I want in the garden, so most plants I grow are really for annuals, really, like the ricinus and things like that, for colour and quick sort of foliage plants as well. So this episode tonight was mainly just to show if people haven't really got a huge range of plants, want to know where to buy lots of exotic plants, some suggestions of places. So that's pretty much it for this week's video, unless anybody's got some big suggestions, other suggestions we can discuss on here. I've bought from pretty much everywhere over the years, because I've been buying plants on and off, well, all my life, but exotic plants for the last 15 years. Some of the places where I bought my first big plants no longer sadly exist anymore, but lots have carried on for many years. So like the Palm Centre and Hardy Farms and places like that. So there are places that go year after year. Obviously they must be doing something right to be still selling plants after all these years. And then there's newer nurseries that's well worth supporting as well, because we want, obviously, I know my audience for these videos are not just UK, there's Europe and America as well, so hello to everybody who's been watching. But we need, obviously, because it's harder to get plants from Europe and America into the UK now, it's great that we've got some new suppliers and sort of people selling on eBay and on an online only system as well to support these people, as well as the bigger nurseries and obviously the DIY sheds as well to get a bargain that I've mentioned. Yeah, so Matt Davison talks about Yorkshire and where to buy plants. There are some local places, I mean, local to me, there's places like Hamptons which sell everything, including exotic plants. You can pick up bargains, especially on house plants from there. There's also, the name escapes me now, the place down near Doncaster, which sell loads of homegrown exotic plants, but you have to pay cash only down there. The name escapes me now, so somebody could mention it on the chat. But just near Doncaster, there's a chap who owns a nursery, and you can get loads of plants, including sort of cannas and bananas, cacti, aroids, and things like that. So that's a good place to go if I could remember the name, but the name does escape me. So yeah, want a quicker episode tonight. I know the last few have been going on for an hour. But I want to watch Peaky Blinders at 9 o'clock, so I've got to wrap up this soon, get my equipment back in the house, and get ready to watch the last series of Peaky Blinders. So thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully it's given you some ideas of places to look for plants, and I'll also mention if I come across any really good buys, I'll put it on my Facebook page as well. And if there's any sought after plants that you're thinking about, it's well worth asking on the Facebook pages and the other social media, see if anybody's selling it or knows who's selling it. You know, it's well worth sharing in the community of people that want exotic plants and exotic plant growers. So between us, we can not only find all the plants that people are after and know who stocks them or who's likely to stock them in the future. So thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Exotic Gardening Live. I'm going to wrap up now and go and watch some TV. Thank you for watching.